Every month, Daniel received his salary on the same day. By evening, his rent was paid, his bills were scheduled, and the rest of his money was divided between food, transportation, and a few things that made life easier. He wasn't irresponsible with money, he didn't gamble, he didn't have expensive hobbies, he rarely bought anything extravagant. And yet, every month ended the same way. Almost nothing was left. One Friday evening, Daniel sat at his kitchen table and opened his banking app. His salary had arrived that morning, but the number already looked smaller than it should have. He stared at the screen for a moment and quietly said, "Where did it go?" There was no single answer. A slightly more expensive apartment, food deliveries when work became exhausting, subscriptions he barely noticed, a better phone plan, weekend expenses, small purchases that felt insignificant individually. Nothing had gone wrong. That was the problem. Daniel's income had increased several times over the years, but his financial position hadn't changed nearly as much as his lifestyle had. Then one evening, his father asked him a different question. How much money would you need to stop worrying about your next salary? Daniel thought about it. He realized he had spent years trying to increase his income without ever deciding what his money was supposed to accomplish. So he changed one thing. On payday, before paying for anything else, he transferred a fixed portion of his income into a separate investment account. Not the money he might need next week, not money meant for emergencies, money intended for the future. At first, the amount looked almost meaningless. The first month, it was small. The second month, it was still small. After a year, Daniel looked at the account and realized something important. The money wasn't impressive because of its size. It was impressive because it had become a habit. Years passed. His income increased again, but this time his lifestyle didn't automatically rise with every increase. Some of the additional income went towards investments, some towards goals, and some towards enjoying life. The market had good years and difficult years. Sometimes the account went down, sometimes it grew. Daniel learned that investing wasn't a straight line upward, and he stopped judging the entire strategy based on what happened in a single month. Then something unexpected happened. One morning, Daniel received his salary and realized he didn't feel the same urgency he used to feel. His salary was still important, but it was no longer the only thing supporting his financial life. Years of contributions and compounding had created another layer beneath his income. That was when Daniel finally understood the difference between earning money and building capital. A salary pays you for the work you do today. Capital can potentially continue participating in growth after the original money has been invested. Neither is magic, neither is guaranteed, but time changes the mathematics. The first few years had barely seemed to matter. Later, the accumulated capital became large enough that its own growth began to matter alongside Daniel's contributions. And that's the strange thing about money. At the beginning, progress depends mostly on what you put in. Later, time and compounding can become increasingly important. Daniel hadn't discovered a secret investment. He hadn't predicted the market. He hadn't become wealthy overnight. He had simply stopped asking, "How much money do I have left this month?" and started asking a different question. How much of today's money can become part of tomorrow's financial life? That question changed everything, not because it produced an immediate result, but because it changed the direction of every paycheck that came after it.